Neoliberalism, a series of political and economic policies promoting privatization, free trade, individual initiative, minimal government regulations of the economy. Who's the government? Is Trump the government? Is Pelosi the government? Fact is, you and I are the government, and we've been excluded. We just get involved every few years to go give our opinion and pull the lever and then go back to our lives. We have to be much more involved. Neoliberals, capitalists, they oppose government involvement in restricting their behavior. Restricting their behavior and destroying the environment. Cheating employees. No insurance. Bad working conditions that actually harm people. These are the kind of things that neoliberalists don't want governments involved in. They don't want to be taxed. When I was growing up, unions were over 33% of the jobs in this country. Unions pay livable wages. They offer benefits. People buy houses. They go to the doctor. They feel secure in their life. In the last 40 years, now we have about 6% in union jobs. What does that mean? The money that went into people's pockets in their communities, who were doing the labor, who were doing the work that were making the profits, now no longer goes into their pockets. It goes into the owner's pockets. And then what do we need to do? Well, now we need to tax that owner to get the cash back into the society because they're taking out so much. That's neoliberalism. They don't want that to happen. They don't want any involvement. They want to be able to use the monetary system to manipulate the very idea and value of life and death for their self-interest, for their own power, profit, and prestige in the economic system. This is why the economic system needs to go. It is not designed to support humanity. It is designed to loot and rule humans by any means necessary. Human needs approach. 1972 to 1973, the World Bank and other agencies began to focus on filling the basic needs of rural poor. Now, the only reason we have rural poor is because of colonialism. Going in, taking people's land, not allowing them to get back to the land. And in fact, we've seen this over and over in Nicaragua, most recently in Honduras, but certainly those weren't isolated cases of elected officials giving land back to the people, taking it away from international corporations and giving it back to people in their own nation so they can support themselves. This causes major problems in the economy. Neoliberals want to own all resources in all forms of production so that they can control the population. Human needs approach, that kind of an attitude creates human needs. Proponents of the basic human needs approach argued that development had failed because it focused on large-scale projects and technical change and paid insufficient attention to improving the lives of very poor and increasing their capacity to contribute effectively to the economy. Donor governments did not like the basic needs approach. It had high overhead and little publicity. And the fact is, neoliberal capitalists, market masters do not want to change this system unless it brings them more profit. So the idea, again, of helping people, well, how do you reinvigorate people in their economy? You give them back land. You give them an education. You allow them the ability to support themselves. And we don't do that today. Structural adjustments. This is a part of neoliberalism. In this approach, wealthy nations demand that poor nations restructure their economy. Let our corporations come in and privatize your social programs. We'll show you how to do it. They require poor nations sell off state-owned enterprises, reduce subsidies to local businesses and industries, reduce spending on education, health, and social programs, and open their markets to free trade. What they're saying is, give us total access through ownership to everything. Close the government down. You need now how to report to us. Who are these wealthy nations who demand this? Well, what part does the WTO play? The World Trade Organization is really a global gang organization that forces nations into their subjugation. Is this building empire? 21st century colonialism through economic pressures. There's a reason that if you get an education, you're going to have a large debt with that. It hasn't always been that way. This came in after the Trilateral Commission, and it came in to make sure that you don't feel too free, that you are indebted to the system and must do what you're told. Let's see if I can watch this film on here.
It's that time of the year again. Caps and gowns, pomp and circumstance, the best 4 years of your life officially behind you, and ahead of you, a shit ton of debt. Congratulations, class of 2016. You're officially screwed.
I have on the order of $40,000 in debt.
Something like $6,000-$7,000 of loans?
40,000.
I mean, I don't know the exact number, but I know it's over 25,000.
After 4 years of attending University of California, Berkeley, I will owe $150,000, or between $150,000 to $200,000.
Last year's class of 2015 was sent off into the world as the most indebted class in history, owing more than an average of a whopping $35,000. And they're not alone. 71% of college kids today are taking out student loans for an undergraduate degree, which now costs more than $100,000 on average. They're joining the 40 million people in this country that are burdened with student debt. And with wages stagnant, that means it's a lot harder to settle down, to buy a house, to start a family, or save for retirement. More and more people are pushing these things further and further back because they're still paying off their tuition 21 years after graduating. Maybe that's why 43% of folks with government student loans aren't making their payments. Wasn't college supposed to help you get ahead in life, not hold you back? Back when I attended UC Berkeley, in-state tuition was less than $6,000 a year. Now it's $13,500. So how did things get so bad? Well, the recession has played a role, with states using it as an excuse to slash higher education budgets. In 2015, the average state was spending 20% less per student than in 2007, before the financial crisis. That means universities are raising tuition fees to make up the difference. But that's not the only explanation for why getting a degree comes with loans these days. While students might be struggling, many university presidents aren't. Columbia University's president took home $4.6 million in 2015. Even some public schools, which are funded by the taxpayer, have paid presidents over $1 million a year. And let's not forget about football coaches. The top two highest paid coaches made over $7 million each. While university staff overall has increased, professors aren't the people being hired. It's primarily administrative staff. Since the mid-1970s, the number of non-teaching employees has grown by 369%, compared to just 23% for full-time faculty. Altogether, students who went to college in the U.S. owe $845 billion, and it's a lucrative business for the federal government, which owns most of that debt. But does getting an education have to be this expensive? Check out what this American student in Germany had to say.
You get much more value for your money here. You hardly pay anything, and you get an education that is, I would say, on the same level, if not better, than many American universities.
Maybe it's time to figure out how we can make college affordable without having to go abroad.
Education is freedom. Education is power. And so that is offset with the debt. I'll put this Vandana Shiva video up to watch. This is about globalization.